Throughout the whole thing, we were both healthy. We both came out fine. She's great. She's almost 9, and I survived. That's what I get to say for that.
Let's pause for a sec
Okay.
because there's still some unprocessed emotions there. Um, so you told what I would consider a pretty traumatic story because what I define as trauma is your brain can't connect with what is happening to your body. Like your brain cannot explain it. And so I hear a lot of, oh my God, what is happening to me? My body is out of control. So I want to hear from you what parts were the hardest parts or the parts where you felt, you described feeling like something from The Exorcist,
Yes.
right? Are there points in the story that you could go back and pinpoint that you need to work through?
It would be the point up to where the nurse was like, how are you physically doing that? Because that's when the realization hit that the epidural did not take.
Mhm.
And I guess it's something that could have been avoided.
Potentially.
I mean, if the epidural took the first time,
Mhm.
then I wouldn't have been in that pain.
Right.
But it didn't. And
Right.
obviously you can't change that. But
Right.
that, I mean, that is definitely, if I have PTSD over something, it's that excruciating pain from the Pitocin. If I went back, would I have let them give me Pitocin knowing the epidural didn't take? I don't know. If the epidural took, the Pitocin doesn't, like, it would have
Right.
been an irrelevant thing. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's definitely the point where it was just, I'd been active labor for a long time at that point,
Mhm.
and like you're just physically exhausted.
Yeah.
My brain was not functioning.
No. I feel like what I'm hearing you say is your brain was trying to, and this is what women do. We gaslight ourselves into thinking that we're fine or we should be fine, so we need to suck
Correct.
it up, right? And you and Brandon didn't know that everything was not fine. So how could you have said anything? Like you're in that pressure cooker, like, the frog in the hot water, it just gets hotter and hotter and
Right.
hotter. And so all you were doing was coping. And the way that you were sitting was the only way that was comfortable. So you were trying to figure out how to cope in that situation. And then come to find out you potentially didn't need to. Is that what you kind of felt?
Yeah, I mean, probably obviously the pain caused trauma, but it's probably more of the point where I wasn't in control of any of the situation.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's
And
probably where it stems from more.
do you feel like you didn't feel in control because you thought you had the epidural and you felt like there was nothing else that could be done?
Maybe
Okay. And if you don't want to dive deep right now, you don't have to.
we can. There's so much of that time I don't remember, probably because my brain is like, we don't want you to.
That's true. That's true. I find that if we can kind of pinpoint the time where we realize we didn't have to be as strong as we were, we can legitimize the feelings of being completely out of control or realize that what you went through was truly an intense, painful experience that most people would feel was traumatic, right?
Right.
Then we can kind of take a breath and realize, okay, what I did was really hard. And I don't want to say we could go back and change it, but if you could go back and understand what was happening a little bit better, we can kind of alleviate some of that. So you were saying that your body was doing things that you normally wouldn't do, like you were
Yeah.
moving in ways that were not natural for you. And then you finally managed to settle on sitting straight up.
Hmm.
So what you were doing, although like with the Pitocin, if you're having contractions every 30 seconds, that's really hard, right? But what you were doing was you were probably moving your baby down in your pelvis, honestly, because let me try to piece it together. And I don't know if you like have a complete timeline, but did they check your cervix before you got the second epidural?
I don't recall them doing it.
Okay. So what we do when we're moving around in labor is we try to move with our body so that we alleviate pressure and pain. And while that sounds horrific, and in your situation, I think it probably was. What we're doing is we're working with our baby. So you have a baby that's pushing on the bones of your pelvis and trying to work her way down. And as you have a contraction, your baby's head is moving to one side or the other, or twisting and rotating, or doing all of the above. And as you feel that there's a place of pressure where your baby's pushing, that's probably going to be an obstacle for your baby. So then you move so that you can kind of get out of the way of that obstacle. And as you're doing so, you're pushing your baby down in your body
Mhm.
to make it so that your baby can be born. So when you say that you were bending in ways that you normally couldn't, yes, you're probably doing things more exaggerated than what we would be doing in natural labor, right? Because you had the Pitocin going. And that's not to say that Pitocin always does that. It sounds like if you're having contractions every 30 seconds, it might have been a little bit too much Pitocin. They probably could have backed off at that point. But the fact that you found ways to try to figure out how to get comfortable, you were doing all the things that I would have had you do had I been there, right? You were just doing them instinctually. You're listening to your body. So I just want you to know that while you felt like you weren't able to cope, that's exactly what you're doing. And
You're
you're
making me
helping your
cry.
baby move down, right? And what your husband was doing, what Brandon was doing, was composing himself so that he could be there for you. So you guys were really doing everything you needed to do with the knowledge that you had. And so I just want you to know how great you did, despite feeling completely out of control. You were completely in the moment, using all of your instincts and doing the absolute right thing. And then when somebody came in and validated your feelings and realized that what had happened was your epidural wasn't working, you'd already done all the work. And then you got to take a nap and your baby was ready to come out. So I don't know if it was the relaxation that helped. I mean, that does help. It helps you, relax your muscles. But I think you probably did a lot of that work moving around and trying to get your baby in the right position. Does that feel any better?
Yeah. Except you cry. I told you not to make me cry,
I'm
Kelly.
sorry. I told you I guaranteed I would.
Yeah.
So when you said that Brandon held Kylie and you weren't sure if you could, what were you feeling at that point?
Oh, I joke about it, but it was more, I wanted to hold her.
Yeah.
So there's probably some jealousy that he got to hold her first
Hmm.
because they had to clean her, and I did not want to hold a pooping baby
Okay.
or a baby covered in poop.
Right.
I'm glad he got to,
Mhm.
and I did get to hold her, and it was beautiful. And then we can go into a whole nother thing about breastfeeding. But it was hard.
What was hard about it?
Does it sound stupid if I say I don't know now?
No.
I mean, I think it was the not knowing and not having control of the situation.
Hmm.
That's hard to give up. I'm actually really good at adjusting
Hmm.
to things, but I think I don't know if anybody could have prepared for what happened to happen.
Right.
So I can't say, oh, if I had, learned more about it,
Right.
or, oh, sometimes the epidural doesn't take, then I didn't know that could be a thing.
Do you feel like you did something wrong? I mean, we say you need plan A through Z, but really, how do you plan? Right?
Right.
I hear you saying a lot about control. Is it the fact that you felt out of control when you felt that you needed to be in control that's the hardest?
Probably because it didn't follow my plan. It didn't follow
Right.
what I want to have happen.
The plan that you didn't have.
Exactly. Well, we
Yeah.
had a plan that was going to go all natural and
Right.
everything was going to be great, and we were going to bounce on my ball and we were going to
Hmm.
do our silly pregnancy dance and
Hmm. So I feel like birth is kind of the first welcome into motherhood and what it's
oh, for
really going to be
sure.
like.
Yeah.
That whole, I'm actually not in control.
Yes.
And I know you deal with that daily, right?
Yes. Children are fun.
They are. And you roll with the punches there. Do you feel like you're really in control?
No.
Okay.
I feel like I have a resemblance of control.
You can respond to the situation without
Yes.
feeling you're physically out of control.
Yes.
And you didn't feel that way during your birth.
Correct.
Okay. So, from my perspective, I feel like you had a lot more control than you think you did because of all the things you did instinctually in order to help your baby come out. Does that make sense?
It definitely makes me feel better
Okay.
about everything that did happen. I mean, Kylie's almost 9, and I never would have thought my body was moving in ways to make her shift to where she needed to be. So it definitely makes me feel better about that.
I mean, this the fact that she broke your water and they had to tell you not to push.
Right.
That tells me that you did a lot of work.
I did a lot of something.
You did a lot of work. And then you got a well-deserved nap.
It was a much needed nap.
Yeah. And then after all of that, they cleaned her off and gave her to Brandon.
Yeah.
Were they doing anything with you? Did you at all feel like you physically couldn't hold her?
Oh, well, no, I couldn't hold her right away. They had to stitch me up.
Yeah.
I was very torn
Yeah.
down below. So they had to stitch me up. So they didn't want me, while they were doing that, they didn't want me to.
Hold her. And then afterwards, once you were like all cleaned up and everything, you had a chance.
Yes, then I got to hold her.
So it's saying that Kylie is now 9 and just kind of thinking back to practices back then, I feel like, and this was kind of the way of it when my daughter was born, it wasn't standard to do immediate skin to skin with mom while the repair was happening. It wasn't until I feel like it became much more standard like 5 years ago now, because my youngest is 6. It was probably 3 or 4 years after that that it really started becoming standard because I worked at other hospitals after my son was born and they still weren't fully doing like the golden hour skin to skin. So unfortunately, it was probably just the standard of practice back then. Now, if you have a baby, I feel like more hospitals are understanding the benefits of immediate skin to skin for 1 hour and will help you hold your baby. And then if you state that you don't feel like you can, they'll help you or they'll find somebody else to do the skin to skin, like it sounds like they did with Brandon. Also, people don't like
I don't
necessarily like holding poopy
I
babies.
didn't want poop on me. I really
Right,
at that
right,
point I didn't anyways.
right. Yeah,
I
most
wasn't
people
gonna
don't.
be able to shower
Right.
right
Most people
away.
don't.
So I understand why I didn't get her right away,
Hmm.
if that
Was
makes
it
sense.
because you stated that you didn't want her or because they were like, let's take a moment?
I think it was more let's take a moment, let's get
Okay.
her cleaned off.
Hmm.
And Brandon was there,
Yeah.
and then they had to stitch me up in the afterbirth and all that stuff. So
I've definitely worked in places where there was still that, I don't even know what to call it. Like, I want to say patriarchal, but maybe not, but almost like talking down to moms and telling them what they want and what they need. I feel like I've worked in places where that was the standard for a long time. And I don't know if the culture is shifting yet, but I'm trying to help it shift.
right.
Like when you know better, you do better. And I feel like I have consciously tried to remove that type of communication from my standard practice
Right.
and asked moms what they wanted because I don't know that we really had a handle on what kind of negative emotions linger after we do things like that, where we say, I'm going to take your baby and I'm going to clean your baby up. Even if that's kind of part of what you wanted, still that you weren't asked,
Right.
still feels out of control.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I didn't want to hold a poopy baby,
Right.
but I guess not having the option, even if I would have said, no, 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 clean her up. But again, maybe they did ask me. I
Mhm.
don't remember.
And then there might have
It's
been
such
like
a
kind of a
blur.
disappointment in yourself for not feeling able.
Right.
Yeah. I feel all of that. That happened when Kayla was born as well, because the doctor told me to reach down and take her, but she was floppy and blue. She just felt like a sack of jello. I was like, I can't hold this baby. Please take her to the
Right.
NICU team that's over there. And then I had all these emotions about like, why couldn't I hold my baby? And why didn't she ask me if I wanted to reach down and grab her? Because I didn't feel strong enough to do that. And then should I have been strong enough to do that? And all of those questions come up. And it's such an incredibly vulnerable moment when you're first meeting your child that it's so easy to feel like you've done something wrong. And that sticks with you for a long time. And it's not necessarily, I don't want to fault the medical community because we're still trying to figure out how to navigate that because everybody's going to have different feelings. But I just want moms out there to know that it's okay to really work through that and forgive yourself for feeling not as strong as you wanted to in that moment and for reacting in the only way that you know how, because you really do need support in that moment. And if you're handing
Right.
your baby off to someone because you don't feel capable, or if you don't want poop all over your body, it's okay. If
Right.
it's okay to feel vulnerable and outside of your comfort zone. For you specifically, your comfort zone was having poop all over you, and that's completely understandable. That's gross. You already feel completely exposed. There's somebody down there sewing
Yeah.
everything up.
Yeah.
You've probably been naked and sweaty and all those things. And to have one more thing on top of you covered in poop, come on.
Hard pass. I'm good. Thanks,
That's
guys.
really hard. Yeah. But I understand like the feeling of disappointment, like what I don't get to hold my baby. That's rough.
Yeah, moms, it's not like what they show in movies.
It really isn't. There's so much going on in that moment.